What up, guys? Spider-Man Miller, and it's December as of filming this video. This will probably not be out for a few days, but today, you know what time of year it is. It's the end of the year, so we got to look at the top five blasters. Top five Friday is this month, and unfortunately, there's only one. I'm so sorry about that. But this year's been kind of weird for blasters. There's been a lot of good, but there's also been a lot of bad from all companies besides X-Shot and Busby, surprisingly. But there have been a lot of good and there's been a lot of bad. However, I will go over my 5 favorite blasters from this year, along with another video that will come out probably next week about what else I recommend. But I thought we would start this video off with the honorable mentions, what almost made this list, but I had to leave off because the rest of it's very good. So let's start off with the first honorable mention, and that is the Nerf Destiny Limited Series Ace of Spades, a blaster that I've actually had a lot of fun with. I was a little hesitant about this one when it first got released, because when Nerf first released it, or at least teased it, it was going to be $170 and it was going to release in 2027. Instead, they made it $50 on the Bungie store and made it so that you could realistically get it cheap, which honestly, I really appreciated. A cylinder-fed blaster like this with actually decent performance, I actually was kind of smitten about this. I've had a lot more fun with it than I thought, and I could honestly maybe say this is the best limited series blaster just because it's the cheapest and it feels the best. And plus, if you're a fan of Destiny, you're going to like this thing. Yes, some areas are a little inconsistent with it, and yes, it is very top heavy, and it does have issues with your cylinder rotating, but the feeling of just actually having a cool blaster like this, a massive hand cannon revolver, it's awesome. I love this thing, and I really hate that it didn't make the list, but there's so much great. Now to the second honorable mention, which I don't have in the studio right now, and also sorry I'm not at the Spider's Nest right now, but I will be back there next week. For some reason it's lost in my storage. Moving sucks. But that is the Dart Zone Desperado. That thing has really shocked me. I was actually impressed with that blaster when it first came out. It's a 6-shot pistol that is double action, and it worked really well. I was very shocked by that blaster at its price point and also what you could turn it into. And unfortunately, it didn't make the list this time, but I really was impressed with it, and if you haven't gotten it, I highly recommend it. But now, let's get into the top 5 blasters of 2024, starting with number 5. Alright guys, so at number 5, I've got the Nerf Rival Challenger. Spare warning, this is the only Nerf blaster that is on this list, but this was really the only Nerf blaster that I had actually a blast with. I would actually say is one of my favorites of the year. The Nerf Rival Challenger is a blast of a time. It's a very fun SMG-like blaster. Very good performance and a very snappy trigger. It's very well for what it is. I've had a really good time with it. A mag-fed, semi-automatic blaster. Like, literally, this is the Rival Strife. Of course, the Hera is a thing, but this just really came at a good time when it just felt like Rival wasn't really releasing anything new. And I'm really happy that they released this because it honestly it's fun. Like, this was really the only Nerf blaster I had a good time with. It has good performance, a good trigger, and it's at a reasonable price. And it's a shame that the other Rival blaster wasn't as good, even though I have changed my opinion a lot on the Mirage. But the Rival Challenger is a great option. What you could turn this thing into, what it can be, it's just a really great blaster, and I'm really happy that it came out this year after a long month of delay. But now let's move into number 4. Alright guys, at number 4, I have the Max Striker 2.0, a blaster that is definitely a little controversial, but I did have a really good time testing with this, and I still think the blaster is good. Yes, there are some weak points, like the stock. I still don't like the stock. But once you forgive that and realize a 200 FPS configuration of a very smooth blaster with slam fire, and especially the fact that you can toss this drum out, just grab your little magazine adapter with the magazine, which I'm very shocked that they did this for a blaster like this. Also running into some of the issues again. To where you can just continue to fire. It's an amazing product, and while I still don't like it as much as the Nexus Pro X, it's still a really good option on the market. I love seeing Pro Blasters on the market, seeing what we can turn our hobby into, and this is just a good example of another blaster that is really well done. A 200 FPS Springer like this, the fact that you can change out the magazine system to a drum-fed capacity is solid, and it's a very nice pickup. It's a very good performer. I would just, of course, also be cautious of the stock because, again, I don't know if mine was a lemon, but just keep that in mind. But it's a really great option, and I was really impressed with it up in Denver, and I love mine, even though I might have to get another one to see if the stock issue is there. But let's move on to number 3. At number 3, we are segueing to the Adventure Force Aeon Pro X, another amazing blaster from Dart Zone this year. One that honestly just shook me. Like, I was amazed that they were redoing a lot of their older blasters from the Pro line, and this one was one that I thought I wasn't going to like as much, but then I got it, and I actually was impressed. For one, the fact that they made the Prime so much more smoother to its added performance and just very smooth operation. And the fact that they added slam fire to this thing, the fact that you can add a stock to it, I love the new magazine system that they have, the AK style, or what I like to call the Nerf style with one hand, is amazing. And of course the fact that they do have springs that you just take off the stock attachment point, undo a little pin, and then you have access to your spring. It's an amazing blaster. It comes with a much better grip, a more solid feeling, if I'm being honest, like a more streamlined shell. Like, I always feel comfortable gripping it like this whenever I use it, especially when I have a stock on it, to a little barrel way that lets you use a scar. It was amazing. Like, it's a very solid secondary and primary if you want to use it. I know Bricksaurus 227 loves his, and so do I. It's a very great option, as I nearly dropped it. And I could not talk about this video without saying that this is a really great option. But now, let's segue into number 2. Segueing into number 2, we've got the Venom Pro. The Venom Pro is one of my favorite blasters from this year. It's a very solid Uzi pistol that it blew my mind when we first got this announced, because we saw this and we thought, ooh, a cool looking pistol. A little bit of a shorter barrel, but then the fact that they added the rev trigger design, which I still argue is better than the Maxim. I still don't like it, and they said that this was the only year they were going to try it. Dart Zone, please get rid of this. I don't like this. But with this kind of system, a flywheeler, which we thought semi-auto performance, but they decided to add full auto to this thing and just absolutely shred with it. I was impressed. The fact that it's a full auto Uzi pistol is phenomenal. Again, it's argued to the Nightingale and all that, but if you're a budget nerfer and looking for something that doesn't really pack too much of a punch, but also you're wanting just to save a little bit of money, then this is your greatest option. A very solid mag in-grip pistol with, again, if you are buying extra mags, go to Out of Darts and buy their included Nightingale mags, or just go on the Dart Zone website and buy these, even though they're a little more expensive than Nightingale mags. But overall, the Venom Pro is such an amazing blaster. It blew my mind with how well this thing is. My only gripe is I wish it came with a pistol, a hip holstered pistol. I would probably use this over the Outlaw. Well, debatable. The Outlaw is still phenomenal, but this is a really great option as well. Like, the profile of it is really good. Again, don't paint this black by any means, because even though it has a bulging flywheel housing out here, it's kind of realistic. But it's a really great option. Like, again, a lot of praise goes to the Venom and the Max Striker 2.0 just because I did test with them, but this was still my favorite one to test. However, for all of the victories, there is one true champion, and you might not have been surprised by it, but why don't we get it anyway? Let's start off and end this 2024 Best Blasters video with number 1. So it is no surprise that it's the Dart Zone Nexus Pro X that wins the day. This thing blew my mind. I'm beyond amazed how well this thing turned out. To the very smooth prime, to the 200 FPS that this thing fires at, in a situation where you just hold down the trigger, with the dual magazine release, to the solid ergonomics and solid just everything, this thing has blown my mind. It's amazing. The Dart Zone Nexus Pro X has just completely just blown it out of the ballpark this year as being one of the best blasters on the market. Are there other good ones? Of course there are. There's the Harrier, there's the Tryon. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit cheaper and something that's going to hold up at least for a little while, I really recommend the Nexus Pro X. To the amount of things that you can do with it just by replacing the spring in here with either the spring that they have already included on Dart Zone's website or get an aftermarket spring, to the amount of grips you could throw on this thing, to the near Picatinny-like rail that you could throw a lot of cool accessories on, the cool grips that you could throw here for the foregrip, and the star barrels that can be swapped out for anything and that you can also use on other ones, but don't really use this one. Use this one. This one's so much better. To just the solid everything on this blaster, and even the best year for their magazines, which have really improved a lot. These are amazing feeling. Of course, Talons feel better, but these work flawlessly. To also even an improved stock, like I really like this L-shaped design, and I love how it looks. It reminds me a lot of the one on the Thunderbolt, and it feels really good on here. Plus, I'm also a little biased with this because I got a collab out of this with my very good friend Brick Stories 227, which go watch that, and also go watch his. Somehow mine reached 1,000 views. This is still stuck at 300, so go show some love to both those videos. But the Nexus Pro X really won it this year. It's an amazing product for what it is, and I've had an absolute blast with it. It is definitely my favorite blaster of the year. Great job on this Dart Zone. You guys have done an amazing product. And that is all we have for you today, Dude Bros. Thank you so much for watching the video. I know this was kind of a weird year, and especially the fact that it seems like every blaster on my list was from Dart Zone. There's a reason for that, because again, I wanted to kind of go over the blasters that you've seen in this video are my opinion, are my favorite blasters. Every YouTuber is going to have a different opinion, but those are the blasters this year that really impressed me. This year's been kind of weird. With N Series coming out and completely obscuring the Nerf Elite Dart, to Dart Zone's Maximum Pro ending Dart Zone's reign this year as just being a terrible blaster, to Nerf Pro being an absolute disappointment. It was a really rough year. It felt like 2020 all over again, because it felt weird because Dart Zone won until they released the Maxim Pro. X-Shot was very quiet this year, and they still have two blasters that are said to already be released, but you could barely find them. Buzzbee being surprisingly not bad this year, which thank God they're getting better. To Nerf just kind of disappointing me this year. To Dart Zone kind of disappointing me this year, at least towards the end. But then to just everything, it felt weird. But I just want you to know, yes, two blasters are on this list because of a personal bias, because I did test them first. But everything else, it's just we had a lot of amazing blasters, and a lot of them came out of Dart Zone. So that's my video for you today, guys. I hope you guys understood that it was just a weird year for blasters, and I really hope that you guys can understand that. But hope you all had a good Thanksgiving, and I hope you guys have an amazing Christmas. And just much love, blast on, and stay tactical.